Hi there, welcome to another episode of Mudwalkers. I'm Chris. Today we're going to be looking at Isaiah chapter 47. Yeah, it's an interesting passage. It has kind of a little conceptual parallel to our subject in somewhere around Revelation 3, 4, 5, 6, somewhere in there. Early in Revelation, there's a reference to this. But before we get into it, if you're not already a Patreon member, check out the link in the description where you can support me financially. I would really appreciate anything you can throw my way. So, Isaiah 47. This is a prophecy against Babylon. Let's take a quick look at what the passage says. I use the ESV because it's just what I have on hand right now. I'm going to branch out to other translations in the hopefully near future, but this is what I've got. So, come and sit in the dust, you virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the throne, sit on the ground without a throne, you daughter of the Chaldeans, for you shall no more be called tender and delicate. Take the millstones and grind flour. Put off your veil, strip off your robe, uncover your legs, pass through the rivers. Your nakedness will be uncovered, your disgrace will be seen. I will take vengeance and I will spare no one. Our Redeemer, Yahweh of hosts, is his name, is the Holy One of Israel. Sit in silence and go into darkness, you daughter of the Chaldeans, for you shall no more be called the mistress of kingdoms. All right, that's all of the relevant part. So it's interesting in if you're at all familiar with the economy of clothing in the ancient world, a lot of this will stand out to you because you're familiar with how slavery worked. It's interesting that it's addressed to Babylon, which was basically the richest empire on the planet at the time. And this virgin daughter of Babylon, you daughter of the Chaldeans, is a reference to the empire itself as an institution, as a kingdom, especially to its leaders, all of these kinds of things. Let's take a look at what it says about Babylon. It's reads almost like a curse. It's a warning. Here's what's about to happen to you. Come, sit in the dust. Okay? Sit in the ground with no chair. Got it? You will no longer be called tender and delicate, so you're going to have calluses now. Grab a millstone and grind flour. Take off your clothes. Uncover your legs. Walk through the rivers. Your nakedness will be uncovered. You will no longer be called the mistress of kingdoms. Be silent and go out into darkness. So let's take a look at this. How did kings and queens live? Let's look at this. Come sit in the dust. No, okay, they sat on thrones. Very comfortable. They were tender and delicate. They did not do manual labor. They wore clothes, several layers of them actually, if they could afford it. They didn't bother themselves with going through the rivers on their feet because they had horses and wagons and things that could carry them through. Their disgrace wasn't seen. They were very, very good at hiding their true selves from the public. Sit in silence, go into darkness. No, they weren't silent. They were the voices of the kingdom, the voices of the people. They had big, raucous, loud parties. They were the people who commanded battles. They were not quiet. Go into darkness. No. These people could afford oil lamps and candles and torches. They didn't live in darkness at night. What's the need? They were wealthy. You will no longer be called the mistress, female master, of kingdoms. So, this is the opposite of Babylon. Everything in here is taking Babylon from this metaphorical empress to a metaphorical slave. The clothing is one aspect of this. Now, yes, clothing keeps you safe, but clothing also happens to conceal. So your nakedness will be uncovered, your disgrace will be seen. So what Isaiah is doing here is saying, not only are you going to be impoverished, but in this being made poor is going to strip everything away from you, but it's also going to strip away these layers you use to hide what you really are. Your disgracefulness will now be fully revealed to you and to everyone else. You can hide what you are no more. So the clothing ends up being a two-part metaphor where, yes, it's talking about being made into a slave, but it's also talking about no longer being able to hide what you really are. So that's Isaiah chapter 47. So the disgrace here is not about body shame or being shamed into wearing clothes and things like that. I don't think that's at all what this is about. Then we have in Revelation a similar thing, buy from me clothing so that the shame of your nakedness may not be seen. That's another reference to shame. What do we have left? Oh, okay. So in the end, yes, the Bible does occasionally associate nakedness with shame. The interesting thing there, though, is that people want to take shame and equate it with morality, and that's just not the case. The Bible associates lots of things with shame. The Bible associates poverty with shame. It associates defeat in battle with shame. It associates beardlessness with shame. It associates childlessness with shame. There are all kinds of things that are associated with shame. Are any of these other things intrinsically immoral? No. My personal favorite. Men having long hair and women having short hair are both associated with shame. Are those immoral? No. Dr. Michael Brown actually did a great episode of his radio show a few years ago where he delved deep into this, and he said that this is not a moral question in 1 Corinthians with hair. This is not something that everyone needs to concern themselves with. Aha. But the text does associate it with shame, does it not? So then if the Bible also associates other things like beardlessness or nudity with shame, those are also not morally binding. What we need for hair is a rule. Thou shalt not grow thy hair beyond your shoulders, your jaw, your ear, whatever it is, for such and such person, such and such category of person, man, woman, child, whatever. So what we need here is a rule instead of just shame, but there is no rule. So the shame is not really relevant. It's interesting, and it might be an interesting leaning, like, maybe we should prefer being clothed over being naked. You might could make that argument from shame, but you can't make the absolute argument just from shame that it's absolutely immoral. It's not there. From here, if I go on, I'm just going to be rambling, so I think we know what time it is. This episode of Mudwalkers is brought to you by Nature Him, Todd, Jacob, Brian, Jay Sweets, Edward, John S., Skating Aimlessly, Joseph, Charlie, Lionheart, Liam, Adam, Edward T., Nate, C. Berryman, Shane, Jay Good, Zion, Reese, John W., Clifton, Darian, the other John S., Bino22, Trev, Jeremy, and Scott. Thank you all so much for supporting me on Patreon. You're keeping my work sustainable. You're helping me keep all of this up. I can't thank you enough for everything you're doing on Patreon. Thank you. If you're not already a Patreon member, check out the link in the description. We have a $5 tier and a $10 tier. And the $10 tier is my personal favorite. You get access to a monthly Zoom hangout with me and my other patrons. We get together and share stories and swap ideas. It's a great time to have a circular conversation and get to know each other and just in general be as much of a community as an online group can be. I really like where the Zoom hangouts have been going recently. I think they're just going to get better with time. And even though the first two we've had have already exceeded my expectations with how amazing they were. But it seems like the trend so far the trend seems to be that they just get better and better with time. And my hope is that will continue for a long time to come. With that, I'm going to end the video here. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.